Hi guys, welcome back to another Animal Adventures with Jordan, and we are still on the road. And today again we are at the Cape May County Zoo, a beautiful facility here in New Jersey that you should certainly visit when hitting the beach, of course, in New Jersey. Now remember, the Cape May County Zoo is a completely funded facility through donation. So go online, go to their website, vote for those snow leopard cubs. But before that, let me introduce our featured guests of today. We're going to be featuring the Flamingos. All right, so I'm coming back across the pond to get a little bit closer to you, so hopefully I don't have to yell too loud over the birds. So, flamingos, an awesome animal, and certainly one we don't have at Animal Adventure just yet. Now, the flamingos, there are 6 different species of them, and they inhabit both New World and Old World continents. So you will find them in the Americas, you'll find them in South America, the Caribbean, also, and even up into Florida. Sometimes you'll have some of them flying up there naturally occurring. Then, of course, you can find them throughout Africa and then on the coasts of Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India. So they have quite the range, and the different species inhabit the different areas. Now, flamingos do vary in size greatly as well. Our greater flamingos, which are the tallest, can go up to about 5 feet tall and have some good size to them. And then, of course, we have the lesser flamingo, which is only going to be about 2 to 2.5 feet tall and can only weigh about 5 to 6 pounds in general. Now, let's talk about flamingos a little bit and the curiosity and questions we might have about them, because certainly they're one of the most recognized bird species in the world, but there's big debate on what means what with their anatomy and also their adaptations. So first things first, let's talk about color pigment. Now, yes, the pink pigmenting that you see in those feathers is derived from their food intake. Now, naturally, their diet consists of plankton, algae, brine, shrimp, and other things like that. And the beta-carotene that's consumed in those prey animals is processed, and that beta-carotenoid is what's actually in those feathers, giving it that pigmentation. Now, your more dominant, stronger birds getting a lot of food intake are going to really show off that pink coloring, and then maybe some of your younger birds, maybe weaker birds, even your older birds or a molting bird will not have as vibrant of a pink coloring. It might be a little more gray or subdued in their pink. Now, when they eat, it's a very neat process also. We're very used to birds such as parrots and parakeets and ducks and things like that use that bill, they eat that food, goes down the gullet, it's all said and done. But not flamingos, actually. Their beak is very unique, and I'm sure you can see it in the background here, how it kind of slopes down. But if you get very close, it's really neat how it's designed. And when these birds actually consume their animal prey, or their prey items, what happens is that beak actually goes upside down in nature. And what happens is that all that material floods into that beak, into that mandible area, and almost hair-like structures are what separate or filter the water and the sand from the actual prey items that they are consuming. So a very neat structure that's going on in there for them to consume those very small animals, almost similar to like a big whale consuming the little plankton that they eat. Now, going on to another area of interest would be the legs. Quite often we see our flamingos standing in the one-leg position. Everybody says, why do they do that? Well, there are different schools of thought of why they're doing this. One of the concepts or ideas is the fact that it's a way to preserve body temperature, to preserve body heat. Quite often, a lot of our birds, they expel a lot of that body heat through their legs, and by bringing that leg up, they can tuck it in and keep that body warm. However, this does also occur in our birds that are found in warmer climates and in warmer waters. So it kind of maybe negates that theory a little bit. Another one is simple conservation of energy, muscle use, caloric burn. By standing up here, they balance, they're great, they're in good shape, and they can conserve a little bit more of that energy. And when need be, they switch legs and go up to the other one. Simple as that. So there's some different schools of thoughts on exactly why they're doing it. And of course, at the bottom of those legs, and on some of our birds, the legs are as short as 12 to 16 inches. On some of our bigger birds, they can be a good 20, 30 some odd inches tall. At the bottom there, they have those nice little webbed feet. Now we're going to talk about what they're using those webbed feet for a little bit here. Now naturally they're considered a wading bird, which means that they're going through shallow watered areas and consuming their food, kind of wading around and finding what's there. But they can swim, often don't, but they are certainly capable of swimming. And another neat thing, kind of going off the foot but up to that wing, is the fact that they're actually phenomenal flyers. A lot of people don't know that. Often flamingos we see in captive management programs are either pinioned, which permanently no longer allows the use of flight, or their wings are clipped. And those clipped wings, those flight feathers, which are the black feathers on a flamingo, are clipped back, and that's what keeps them home instead of elsewhere, or on the beach with you here in New Jersey. Now, a neat thing that I just learned from one of their keepers here is that the black wings, being the flight wings, is because that black color pigment is actually stronger than the pink. And she said a lot of birds with the ability of flight, you'll see those flight feathers actually coming through black because it's one of the strongest coloring pigments for that feather. Now, beautiful, you can see those black flight feathers right there, almost on cue for you. Now anyway, going back down to those feet, why I was bringing up the feet is a little bit of reproduction here and nest building and so forth. So let's talk about that. Now, in the wild, these birds can be found in groups of anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 up to, I believe, there was 1 million in a flock at one time. Who counted them all? We don't know, but thank you for your services, all right? But they live in huge, huge groups, and they will migrate from area to area seeking out better food sources. Now, in that big social structure area there, they work together, and they believe they flock up in those huge numbers to avoid predation. But now let's talk about when reproduction begins. When these breeding groups start to assemble, what happens is about 15 to 50 some odd individuals break off, and that's their breeding group. Now mind you, they're quite monogamous. They will pick out a mating partner, and that's their partner. But what happens in this group, this breeding group, both males and females begin to show off. They start courting, not so much one another, but courting the group. And if anything, it really charges the energy in that area with hormones, put it that way. It gets everybody in the mood. So if there are birds in that group that are not yet paired up with one another, it entices them to pair. And quite often you'll find even same-sex birds pairing up simply because it's just that ingrained, almost niche, actually not niche, but instinctive nature to get together during that courting period. So now what happens is a male and female will copulate. They'll produce one egg. And neatly enough, their nesting is very unique, unlike any other bird species out there, is that they build them out of mud. These mud nests are raised out of the water, above the water lines, obviously to avoid any changes in temperature or tidal waves, tidal changes, things like that. And up on that raised mud nest is that one egg. Now mind you, should a predator wipe out a nesting area or a natural disaster occur, it does wipe out those eggs, and it will take years for the flamingo colony or that flock to recover from that extreme loss. But anyway, getting back to a successful hatching. So our birds hatch one baby per pair. Now mom will take care of that little guy, and it's about, I don't know, about that big probably. And it's gray in color. Its plumage is very gray, and instead of the beak having that curve that you're seeing here on our adults, instead it's very pointed, almost like a seagull or something like that. And what happens for up to like the first 2 weeks of life, mom actually takes care of those babies by feeding them what we call crop milk. What is that? That's when they consume their food items, and in the crop and the upper digestive area. It's not just in the crop. They produce this very high-fat, high-protein formula, in essence, that is regurgitated into the chicks, and that's what they consume. Soon after they're weaned from that, they're out and actually starting to hunt and forage for their own. Not so much hunt, but wading through and foraging for their food items. So very neat to see that change. Now what happens neatly enough is that these babies eventually all do congregate also, and it's almost like a giant nursery of all these chicks that are hatching out around the same period, because again, remember, they're all nesting about that same time period, and they stay in a very large group of babies. And I read some neat terms earlier about what we call flocks of flamingos, and one of them was a flamboyance, all right, which is very fitting for our pink friends here. So anyway, so those chicks that stay in that big group obviously do much better than the chicks that don't join up for it, because again, our flamingos are avoiding predation by staying in those large group numbers. So on that note, I think I've already hit you with a lot of information on flamingos. We hope they'll join us sometime soon, but if you're eager to see them, come back down to the Cape May County Zoo. Visit the facility. Beautiful place, beautiful spaces, great staff, and we can't thank them enough for extending their courtesy of having us here today on site and working with them. So come out to Cape May Zoo, visit them on their website, support them through donations, because that is the only way they are funded just about. So help them out and name those 2 snow leopard cubs we featured on Tuesday. Thank you guys. Tune in again this coming Tuesday for another Animal Adventures with Jordan, back at home at Animal Adventure. What animal will it be? We don't know yet.